2023 SF Super Formula race car in VR. Hello everybody and welcome to Opafet Gaming. I am the Opafet. Today we're driving a 2023 SF Super Formula Toyota race car. And we're driving it in a special Super Formula event. We're driving at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and I hope I pronounced that right. If not, I apologize. We are driving it for 15 laps, and we started 20th of 20 cars with a rolling start. Now, the first thing I always like to preach to myself, and just kind of mention, is that 15 laps, can we do that on one tank? Well, maybe not. Can we do that with the tires? Well, probably not. So we're going to have to put a pit stop in there somewhere. Now, I always like to look right away after the first lap, obviously, to see where the pit entrance is. And then, if I have the opportunity, also where the exit is, so that when I come out of the pits, I know if I have to take a turn right away or if I got a little straight section. You don't want to come out of there with your foot to the floor, and as soon as you come out, you have to turn to the left or right, and you overshoot that turn. So you don't want to do that. Now, the entrance is straight ahead of you, going straight in instead of turning here. And then the exit, as we're already finishing our first lap, and that was quick. The exit is just out here, and you got to try and remember not to cross the pit line, okay, which the Opafet usually does. The exit is right here on the left-hand side. I always cross that pit line, and then I get a penalty. So I try not to, but a lot of times I forget. Anyhow, now that we know where the entrance and the exits are, we can concentrate on when we're going to go in for our pit stop. Now the race is 15 laps, and I think we got quite a bit of fuel, maybe not quite enough for the full race, so we're going to have to go once for fuel, but I think the tires are going to be the main issue. Now we're driving on racing mediums. And I think that if we cut it in half, and obviously you got 15 laps, you can't stop halfway through the lap. So I figure, well, we'll drive 8 laps, go in for the pit stop, fuel up, change our tires, and then we can see what position we're in too, and then do the last 7 laps on the new set of tires. Now, the one con about driving in VR, especially if you want the full immersion, you turn the display off, you don't know what position you're in. So counting cars is really not necessary, because people go into the pit stop for fuel or tires at different times. Everybody's got a different strategy. So you could be moving up and down in the count as you go, because once you go into the pit stop, you might have 10 cars past the pits and you're down 10 again. So the best time to check where you're at is at when you take the pit stop halfway through, and then at the end of the race. So it'd be nice if they would have a steering wheel like we have here. If you can look at the top left-hand side of the middle of the steering wheel, you can see it says lap 3. Now we don't have to count the laps this time around, which makes it a little bit easier. You can just concentrate on driving, because I tell you, sometimes I get distracted by one or the other, and then I don't do so well. In 15 laps, you got to really, it's intense. You got to really stay in the game. You got to stay aware of the race. Anyhow, you got the lap counter on your steering wheel. It would have been nice if underneath that they would have had, say, position, and then whatever position you're in. But we don't. So we're going to deal with it as we have it, and we're just going to go with that. Now there's a couple of really nice straight sections like this one right here, where you can pass a lot of cars if you are right behind them. And even if you're right behind them, sometimes not so much, because they all go really, really fast. And this is probably one of the fastest races I have ever driven. Now, I used to shy away from races like this because I didn't like having to go into the pits. I didn't like having to go this fast. And the earlier versions of the Opafet, when he was racing, he wanted to win the race in the first lap. And as you can see, in this race, that's just not possible. You can't even win this race in the second, third, or fourth, or so on. You just got to keep going, stay intense, stay with the race, pass as many cars as you can, get into the pits, get your fuel, your new tires, and then get back out and do the same thing. And you know something? I kept at it and kept at it, and I really started to enjoy these races a little bit faster, but I like to have a few practice laps. So I did do some practice runs before I ran this race to get a little bit more familiar with the track. And driving a car like a Super Formula, it is so fast, sometimes it's really difficult to keep up with it, but I did all right. I think I did all right. Now, in this particular race, there again, or any race for that matters, it's not really whether you win or lose, it's whether you had fun. Did you enjoy the race? And I'll tell you, no matter where we end up, I really loved racing this race. Like I said, I practiced it a little bit, I spun out a few times, and when you spin out, it's not a lot of fun. But you get better at it, and then once you finally do the race and you complete all 15 laps without spinning out once, you know, then you're moving up, you're learning more, you're getting better, and then the race becomes more fun. So anyhow, having said all that, we're into lap 5 already. So 3 more laps, or 2 more after this one, and then we'll go in for fuel. Then we'll be able to see how much fuel we use and how much tire wear we use. Now, I think that I'm not sure how well the tires would wear if I was using soft ones. I'm driving currently on medium tires. Then when I go into pits, I change it to hards, and I think that might have been a mistake. But we will find out by the end of the race if the OpaFed made a little mistake there. However, I did not make a mistake in picking this race to run and enjoying it, because I tell you, this has been probably one of my most favorite races to run. Not that the track is my most favorite, it's just that I ended up being able to race this race without any problems, without spinning out, without making any real major mistakes, and that's a big breakthrough for me. Getting a little bit better is always a lot of fun. Here's that big straight stretch again. Now, like I said, you could pass cars here, but only if they're right in front of you on the track. So you can't even use the straight section to try and catch up to those guys, because they are going as fast as you are, some of them faster. It all depends. Now, these guys do like to slow down quite a bit around some of the corners. Not all of them, but some of the corners they slow down quite a bit. And that's when you can pass them. It's really tough to pass them on the straight sections. But in the corners, when just before they get to the corner, or just after they get out of the corner, if they don't throttle up quick enough, then you can catch up to them, you can pass them. Other than that, to try and pass them or trying to catch up to them on the straight sections is a big task already, because of the speed that they go. So if the straight section is long enough, then you got a chance to catch up to them like I did just here. But as soon as you get around the corner, you watch them zip away again. But you can't be discouraged by that. You just got to keep going after it and keep ripping. And eventually you get closer and closer, as we're starting to get now. This here again is that long straight section just before the pit stop. Now they zip away again on you, but by the time we get to the end of this section, I've gotten a little bit closer. But as you notice, it's taken me 2 to 3 laps to get that close. So it's not an easy race to win. I'll tell you that for sure right now. But it's a lot of fun. I don't think there's a lot of races that are more fun than this one. It's so cool to be able to drive this Super Formula car. Here we pass a few of them. But there again, like I said, they're going a little bit slower right there, because they know the corner is coming up. And I just push it a little bit harder. Push a little bit harder to get by them and hope that I make the corner, make the turn, that I don't spin out either. I've done that a few times. And like I said, it's not a lot of fun. Now we are in our 7th lap. I think these laps only take like about a minute and a half to do, so they don't take very long, you know. So we got to get moving because we have no idea where we are in our position right now. So whenever we see a car in front of us, all we want to do is catch up to them and get by them. Try and improve your position a little bit. He didn't seem to like that all that much, so he came back and passed us, but that's okay. We don't care. We're the Opafet and we want to be ahead, so we pass him again. As we're coming around this turn here again, now we're back to that long straight section again. We'll see if we can catch another one of these guys, catch that last guy napping. Now, when you get to a turn and you know there's a turn up ahead, when you race by these guys or you're catching up to them, stay a little bit over to the right-hand side, and sometimes you can shoot right by them when they slow down for the corner. That's one thing to watch out for. Now we're just going to start our last lap before our pit stop. Like I said, and then we'll be able to see where we are on the track compared to the other cars, what position we're in, how much tire wear we've got, and how much fuel we got left. Now, the fuel, I'm not worried about the fuel. I'm worried about the tires more than anything, because the tires will dictate when you got to go in. And we can take about half to 3/4 wear before you start to have problems. So what I did in this particular race is lap number 7 and 8, I tried to take it a little easier, and I waited until I was a little bit further through the corner before throttling back up again, so I didn't take the chance of spinning out because my tires were getting too low. It's a thing to keep in mind. Might not have made much difference, but I didn't spin out, and that made me happy. So as we're coming around the corner here, we got that long straight section again, and then we're going to go straight into the pit. Now, one thing you got to remember when you're going into that pit, it's straight in, but then it takes a turn to the right. So you do want to make sure you slow down before you get to the end of the entrance into the pit, so that you don't ram it straight into the building. Slow down a little bit here and take the turn. There we go. Not a problem. All right. Well, our tire's about halfway done. I should have put on another set of racing mediums. We needed a little bit of fuel. We came in 11th, and we got a few cars past us. I think we came in even earlier than 11th. But anyhow, we're up to 16th now. Now we're leaving at 16th. We left the pit stop on 16th. Now here's that pit line I was telling you about. This is probably one of the first times I did not cross the line and I did not incur a penalty. Yay for the Opafet. We did good there that time. So now we're going to have to try and catch these guys. Like I said, I put racing hards on. Maybe I should have put the mediums back on, get a little bit more grip, or even use the soft tires for all that matters. It's not going to rain. And it gives you a little bit more grip, a little bit more speed, and a little better chance to get first place. But, like I said, this was one of my first attempts at this race. I've done it a few times, and it didn't end well for me. So I did it the way I did it, and wow, what a race. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Well, it is a lot of fun because I'm still racing. We're not done yet. We're still only on lap number 9, but I'm amazed that once you get into racing it, and it doesn't take long before half the race is gone. And you think a 15-lapper, that should take a little bit longer than that, but you look down at your counter, now that you don't have to count the laps yourself, which makes it a little bit easier for me. But you look at your counter and now we're already starting lap number 10. So the race goes quick. You don't have a lot of time to think about anything other than going as fast as you can, pass as many cars as you can. Absolutely awesome. I just love it. You know, this is one of the new tracks that we got in the Spec 3 update, this one along with the Yas Marina. And I've driven the Yas Marina a few times too, and I really like that one too. It's an absolutely gorgeous track. This one's great for just opening up the car in some of those straight sections. It's a lot of fun to drive. Anyhow, as we are rounding the corner, you can see that it takes quite a bit of time to catch up to the car in front of you. And then when you do catch him, you got to go through one of these little twists and turns, and then he zips away again. And then you spend the next half of the lap trying to catch him again. But that's okay. We don't give up. We're going to keep going as hard as we can. As we come around this corner here, we're back to that straight section again. Now remember what I said. When you're rolling along this straight section, you got the pedal to the metal and you're catching up to the guy in front of you. Stay a little bit to the right-hand side. You know you got to turn to the right up here. And sometimes these guys, just like that, they put on too much of a brake and you just fly by them. Now, if you were right behind him, you'd fly right into him, rear end. So that's why I always like to drive a little bit to one side or the other, because I find that a lot of these drivers, they will brake real suddenly around corners sometimes and slow down a lot. You know, not always, but quite often they do. So I try to drive a little bit off to one side if I'm too close to them, giving myself a little bit more room and more time to think if something happens, or if somebody spins out in front of you, that he doesn't take you out at the same time. Now that doesn't happen too often in Gran Turismo, but I have seen it happen where a car overshot the corner and ran into the side of the hill on the outturn of the corner, and they brought out the whatever the color flag is for it to slow down when there's an accident, and all the cars, they automatically, the game slowed you down until you got past that spot. I've only seen that once. But it did happen, so I know it's available in the game. Now as we're coming around the corner here and we're back at that big long straight section again, we're almost finishing our 11th lap. Boy, I tell you, this race is almost done. We don't have to get any more fuel. We don't have to change the tires. And we're moving up in the pack as quickly as we can. Now we have, I think when we came out of the pits, I can't remember now, but I think we were 17th with like 16 cars to pass. But there again, that's not really true, because if you are in 17th and you come around in one lap and say 4 of the cars in front of you have gone into the pits, when you roll by the pit, you move up those 4 spots and all of a sudden you're in 13th. So if you fueled up and you got enough fuel for the rest of the race, and some of the cars in front of you still need to go get fuel, they will end up being behind you just because they're in front of you right now. And that's the reason why it doesn't make any sense to try and count the cars you pass, because it isn't a true representation of where you are on the track. Like I said, if they could have put that on just even right where the gear selectors, you're in second gear, you know, right now, and you're in third. Now, if they could have taken that and made that the precision marker, wow, that'd be awesome. And then at least you'd have the information you need to know whether you should really push it or whether you could take it a little bit easier and take the corners a little bit. But we don't have that certain graphics or certain that kind of information on our steering wheel. We just don't have it. We just don't have counting. So we're going to go with that as we're catching up to this orangey looking Super Formula in front of us, and we're finishing our 12th lap, going into the 13th one. We've got 3 laps left to go, and no way of knowing where we are. And we got to be near the front. That I know. We've passed enough cars, and nobody has passed us. Well, a few have passed us a few times, but we got them back. So we got to be near the front of the pack, you know. But we're going to find out when the race is done what position we got. And regardless of the position, this race has been absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, probably one of my favorite races, not the track, but favorite races that I've done. Some really fast cars. So I might have to race this one again, you know, at a later date when I get a little bit better at driving this car. Maybe be able to go a little bit faster and maybe come out right atop and take first place, because I don't think we're going to get first place in this race. Now, I do see two more cars in front of us, so let's try and get by these two and hopefully see if we can improve our position. Now, what I told you about that, trying to stay a little bit to the right-hand side when those guys try to go to brake. And as you notice, this guy here, all of a sudden, see? He was going into the pit stop. That's why he wasn't slowing down. There you go. But you see now there, he's in the pits, we go by, we move up a position. That's the way it works. So we're now in our second last lap. 2 more laps to go. I'm amazed that this race went as quick as it did. Cloudy skies, but no rain. You know, a little bit of blue up there. We're going to hurry up and finish these last 2 laps, just in case it might rain, because we don't have our wet tires on, and having to go in and change our tires now will be devastating. We don't want that. That'll just slow you down way too much, and then you'll never get back out. You'll never get back to the front again, especially if you go in and you put your wet tires on and it doesn't rain. And then everybody else just keeps ripping you come in 17th or 18th. We're not going to do that. So we're just going to take a chance and keep racing until we got the last lap done. Now we got another guy in front of us there, so let's at least try and catch. Oh, another one there. Let's try and catch those two, so that if we are a little bit further back, we've got enough time to catch up to those two and pass them. So here we are back in that same old straight section again. Our favorite spot on the track. We just on the floor. And then when we get close to the corner, see, he brakes, we don't. We wait until we get right to the corner and we go zipping by him. So that's another guy behind us. So it moves us up another spot. Now here we are, final lap of the race. And we would like to see if we can at least get that blue one in front of us and maybe even the yellow one in front of that. But that might be too tall of an order because he is quite a ways ahead of us. This blue one right in front of us is going to be tough to catch up to. So I think that we are pretty close to the position that we're going to be in when we finish the race. Unless we get by this one here. We did pretty good. We didn't spin out on any of the corners. It didn't break away on us. We caught up to a lot of cars and we passed a lot of cars. A lot of fun driving this one. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching this one and maybe even got some tips and tricks out of it. Maybe practice some of these races yourself. Anyhow, really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. And hope you did too. And hope to see you back at OpenFed Gaming again real soon. Until then, you've been racing in a Super Formula car at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve with me, the OpenFed.